Welcome back, class. Let's do a quick review of our last session where we looked at everyday examples of stress. We examined the area and field of health psychology. We defined the terms of stress and stressor. We looked at the role of appraisal in our experiencing of stress. We also examined the stress's relationship to illness and other effects of stress. We also looked at personality types in stress and locus of control and stress. Another factor that deals with our personality types in a sense is optimism versus pessimism. We can be optimistic or pessimistic in various ways. Prediction. We can expect the best or the worst. At the extremes, we can get ourselves overconfident or simply depressed or anxious about the future. Focus of attention. We can focus on what we have, half full, or what we don't have, empty. Attribution of intent. We can assume that people meant to hurt us or that we are having a bad day. Valuation. We can assume that we or others are useless or that we are lovable and valuable. Potential for change. We can assume that bad things can't be changed or have hope. So basically what this slide indicates is that there's various ways in which we can be optimistic or pessimistic with our predictions, with our focus of attention, with our attribution of intent, our valuation, and our potential for change. So let's look at it real quickly here. Excessive pessimism. I can't do it, might as well forget it. Or excessive optimism. It will be easy, I won't think about it. Or realism. It might be hard, I'd better plan. Or pessimism. I'm trapped, can't get out of this. Optimism. Someone will rescue me. Realism. I want to make changes or get out. Pessimism. That person hates me. He's against me. Optimism. I'm sure he just wants what's best for me. I'll trust him. Realism. I should ask what he feels about me, what he wants. The idea here is excessive pessimism can leave us depressed, inactive. Excessive optimism can leave us unprepared and unsafe. So in promoting health, we look for social support. Having closer relationships is associated with improving health, immune functioning, and longevity. Social support, including from pets, provides a common effect that reduces blood pressure and stress hormones. Confiding in others helps manage painful feelings. Laughter helps too. And of course, we always have heard this one before, exercise and health. Aerobic exercise refers to sustained activity that raises heart rate and oxygen consumption. Exercise triggers certain genes to produce proteins which guard against more than 20 chronic diseases and conditions. Exercise reduces the risk of heart disease, cognitive decline, and dementia, and early death. Relaxation and meditation. Use of relaxation techniques can reduce headaches, high blood pressure, anxiety, and insomnia, and improve immune functioning. People who meditate can learn to create a relaxation response, relax muscles, lower blood pressure, and slowed heart rate and breathing. Meditation also increases brain activity associated with positive emotions. Steps to get the relaxation response: focus attention on breathing, a focus word, and relaxing muscles from toes upward. Faith, communities, and health. While attendance at religious services may not directly save lives, it may make our healthier practices more likely. Religious attendance seems to have results, especially for men, comparable to the benefit of physically healthy lifestyle choices. So you can see that weekly religious attendance for men seems to have some benefit comparable to regular exercise. The health impact of religious involvement may be indirect. Health may improve because of the lifestyle and emotional factors associated with religious involvement, and not just faith. So religious involvement is usually going to be associated with healthy behaviors, less smoking and drinking, greater social support for faith communities and marriages, and positive emotions such as hope, optimism, coherence, or less stress and anxiety. And all these lead to better health, less immune system suppression, and fewer stress hormones, and obviously greater longevity. So, fostering good health, close relationship with others, whether a group of friends, a family circle, provide more than just happiness and fulfillment. They can help foster good health as well. Stress reduction techniques may include exercise, meditation and relaxation, or biofeedback. A closer look at a particular emotion, happiness. Happiness is a mood, an attitude, a social phenomena, a cognitive filter, a way to stay hopeful, motivated, and connected to others. The feel good, do good phenomenon. When in a good mood, we do more for others. The reverse is also true. Doing good feels good. Happiness is an enduring state of well-being involving satisfaction in the pleasant, good, and meaningful aspects of life. Pleasant life, enjoying daily pleasures. Meaningful life, contributing to the greater good. A good life, using skills for enrichment, and as they intersect, we have happiness. Happiness in nations. Surveys of residents of over 150 countries indicated that Denmark has the happiest citizens in the world. Americans rank the United States as the 17th happiest country in which to live. Event leading to happiness. Long-suffering Chicago Cubs fans would no doubt feel elated if their team won a World Series championship, a feat that has not been accomplished by the franchise in over a century at that time. In ways that are similar, those who play the lottery rightfully think that choosing the correct numbers and winning millions would lead to a surge of happiness. However, the initial burst of elation following such elusive events would most likely erode with time. We've discussed before the idea of a weight set point. We also seem to have a happiness set point. If something really wonderful happens to us, we'll have a surge of greater happiness and greater elation, but eventually we'll get back down to that normal range of happiness that we tend to experience. So this graph shows life satisfaction scores several years before and after three significant life events. So correlates of happiness. There are behaviors that seem to go with happiness. Whether they are the cause or the effect of happiness is not clear, but it can't hurt to try them. Researchers have found that happy people tend to have high self-esteem, in individualistic cultures anyway, be optimistic, outgoing, and agreeable, have close friendships or a satisfying marriage, have work and leisure that engages their skills, have an active religious faith, and sleep well and exercise. Happiness seems not much related to the other factors: age, gender, parenthood, or physical attractiveness. There also may be genetic basis for a predisposition to happiness. Whether because of genes, culture, or personal history, we each seem to develop a mood set point, a level of happiness to which we keep returning. Possible ways to increase your chances of at happiness. Look beyond wealth for satisfaction. Bring your habits in line with your goals. Take control of your time. Smile and act happy. Find work and leisure that engages your skills. Exercise or just move. Focus on the needs and wishes of others. Work, rest, and sleep. Notice what goes well and express gratitude. Nurture spirituality, meaning, and community. Make your close relationships a priority. Now let's move over to the next chapter we want to cover, industrial organizational psychology. We'll define IO psychology, look at human factors, a little bit of history, training and development, rating performance, and legal concerns. The I and the O of an industrial organizational psychology. First, we have industrial psychology, which focuses on hiring and maintaining employees. Organizational psychology is interested in employee relations and organizational culture. Human factor psychology. Human factor psychology is the study of interactions between humans, tools, and work systems. Designing, for example, as this graph indicates, designing a proper workspace so that people will not be fatigued. Human factors psychologists, or ergonomics, they focus on making sure that the human-machine interaction is as efficient and as effective as it possibly can be. These will include such things that you may be familiar with as the proper usage of ATM machines, so that you don't lose your card or lose your card behind, or that you can understand the instructions. Or, some of you are not old enough to realize this, but we didn't always have that third light on cars and vehicles. It was a study that was done by human factors IO psychologists to determine that that third brake light is very beneficial in lowering accident rates. So in the history of IO psychology, we have the Hawthorne works provided the setting for several early IO studies. They were going in there to see what would improve performance. Researchers discovered that employees performed better when researchers or supervisors observed and interacted with them. The dynamic was termed the Hawthorne effect. Frederick Taylor strived to engineer workplaces to increase productivity based on ideas he set forth in his book, The Principles of Scientific Management. Taylor designed the steam hammer at Medieval Steel Company, and so on. But the idea is they're looking at work from a way to try to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of people doing work. For example, it was individuals like this who determined that work breaks were going to be very beneficial. So you work really hard with physical labor, and then they'll give you a certain amount of time to rest. Well, it wasn't done simply because they thought it was a good idea for their workers. They were able to determine scientifically that if you were able to give them a short break, to stop them from working, give them a break to chill their muscles for a bit, that when they got back to work, they were working more efficiently and more effectively. Therefore, the break was beneficial to their bottom line. Lillian Gilbreth studied efficiency improvements that were applicable to the workplace and home and other areas. Putting shelves on the inside of refrigerator doors or foot pedal operated garbage cans. All of these are going to be major determinants in trying to help the process of work out, to be able to get things more efficiently and effectively, to be able to get rid of refuse garbage more effectively as well. Training development is an area that I have specific interest in. As an IO psychologist, I spent some time doing this. Training usually begins with an orientation period during which new employees learn about the company's policies, practices, and culture. In addition, training development is something that may be necessary when the organization brings in new equipment or uses a new approach to some sort of new process. The training development is a very specific thing that tries to improve and upkeep person's skills that work at a particular organization. Another area of great interest is rating performance. If you've been at a company for some time, they need to rate your performance. To say if you're on a probationary period, do you become a permanent full-time employee or do they let you go after the probation is over with? They need to be able to determine in a very systematic and legal way how well you are performing compared to the standards for your particular position and compared to other people who also have that position. One way that they can do performance sometimes is through what they call a 360-degree performance. What this basically entails is you're in the middle of this particular graph, the self, and they're going to ask peers that work with you at your same level. They'll ask your supervisors how you're doing, and then the people who report to you will also assess your performance, and then the customers that you have will also give you an assessment of your performance. By doing so, they give you a complete circle, 360-degree coverage of every person that deals with you, giving some sort of assessment on your performance. Our psychology is also very interested in legal concerns too. These concerns deal with the types of questions that can be asked during interviews, who you can hire, who you should not hire, and what these things can be based on, these hiring decisions. For example, there are rules about pregnancy and about religion. Age are some of the criteria for which hiring decisions cannot legally be made. During an interview, there are certain questions that should be avoided. Any question that does not have any direct relationship to you being able to do that job should be avoided. So normally, any questions about your marital status really has nothing to do with the job and should not be asked, especially anything dealing with one's religious faith or religious beliefs. So our psychology is greatly impacted by several key laws. Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Age Discrimination and Employment Act of 1967, and Titles 1 and 5 of the Americans with Disability Act of 1990. All these are focused on trying to avoid discriminatory practices of organizations. So organizations are very much concerned about these things, and people with IO training and IO psychology backgrounds are the ones who help protect organizations from these types of things as well. One interesting thing that was done not too long ago, IO psychology and legal concerns would also be involved in things like this. Hooters restaurants only hire female waitstaff. A few years ago, an individual sued Hooters. In fact, I think there's been two lawsuits, I believe, sued Hooters because he was not hired as a waiter. Look in your internet and see if you can find anything about this for your own interest. I may post a link for you a little bit later to look at some of this discussions about this particular topic. But the whole idea here is IO psychology is trying to apply all the psychological concepts and theories in a work environment to try to make the organization more effective and make the employees happier and have a higher quality of work life.